Okay, good morning everyone. This is week 12, and as I explained through my last announcement, this week we are going to have possibly some late presentations. This is subject that people have this one prepared and ready to present this online. Just while we are waiting for everyone else to come, I would get you through some risk analysis. So that risk analysis slides, you find them on week 11. Okay, so this session is dedicated to preparation of your final report, and the same report is supposed to be submitted through the Canvas. Also, you will be sending the report to the engineering without border. The updated instruction, you find them on the link which are provided on Canvas. So make sure you don't miss this opportunity. That is your chance, especially for some of the groups I was watching them. They're being fantastic piece of works. To my view, these are very consistent and they comply with the requirements of the engineering without borders. So don't miss that opportunity. The very same report, I mean, this is the ticket you have. Who knows? The chances are you might win. And that will be a very important page to add to your resume. Okay, so something you want to include in your report. I mean, you can't do a project without thinking about the risk analysis. So let's just find out what are the costs, what are the risks, and how they can be analyzed. This is one of the things you typically have to do at the beginning of the project once you are writing the plan. But I mean, given the short period of time we have to get this project done, I just brought this one toward the end. That doesn't mean risk is not of high priority. So keep in mind that this is a very important thing. So on behalf of those present, I acknowledge the Wurundjeri people of Kulin Nations, who are the traditional custodians of the land on which you now meet. I pay my respect to their elders, past, present, and emerging. I also pay my respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people of Australia, and hope that the path toward reconciliation continues to be shared and embraced. Risk management sometimes is being considered as work health and safety. So yes, there are few practices which are classified as work health and safety, but that is not all we mean by risk. So this is only one of them. Yeah, WHS also has another acronym, which is OHS, that stands for Occupational Health and Safety. And we might use the risk management process to evaluate the task or aspects inside the project. So in a more general or in a broader context, financial risks or environmental risks, these are also very important. They have to be foreseen in a project for that to be perfect. A key component of the risk management is the documentation. So you need to have some kind of legislation, some kind of manual where the people can by referring to that, they get an idea what the risks are. They familiarize themselves with the risk so they can get prepared for it, especially people who are in the first row of facing those risks. And in case if they happen, those documents would tell them how the risk or danger can be controlled and limited if that is inevitable. Okay, in a very simple context, a risk can be a function of two important parameters. First of all, how likely the risk is to happen, and second parameter, or that is the impact. If the risk happens, what are going to be the impact? Is this going to shut down the project? How many people would be affected? What is the dollar value of that? What is the social value of that? And all these things. So these are two main parameters we would like to consider. And if you think of this as a matrix, well, we don't want just to talk about this in a qualitative way. We want to give them a number. The minute you give them a number, they become measurable. So then you can compare one risk with another risk and find out which one is prioritized, which one is more important. So let's give something which is very rare a score of 0 or 1, something which is very high, very likely to happen is we give them a highest score. Let's limit that to 5. And then as far as the impact is concerned, if something has low impact, we give them a 0 score or 1 score. If something has a very high impact, we give this the score of 5. And then in this matrix, you can identify a number of shades. So the shades are the zones which are combination of low impact, low probability. We shade them as green. Something as a little bit higher than low, we shade them as yellow. And if something is high, we shade them as orange. If something is very critical, we shade them as red. So that is a very simple way of looking into the risk. So that is, yeah, like I said, in many cases, no matter how best you try, how much you try, but the risk is not evitable. It's not avoidable. So in this case, well, first of all, you do your best to eliminate the risk. And if you cannot eliminate it, so you try to substitute the hazard with a safer alternative, or you want to isolate the hazard from people, and you want to reduce the risk through the controls. Okay, so that's the second level hierarchy. If you cannot eliminate it, in the second level, these are 3 suggestions you can do, 3 strategies. And then the next level is you try to reduce the exposure of the risk and using the admin control rather than engineering controls. And well, the lowest measure is, well, imagine this is something like COVID. I mean, how can you eliminate it? It's a long term things to happen. And in this case, you have to go for PPE. And PPE stands for personal protective equipment. The easiest type of PPE include the gloves, hard toe shoes, masks, glasses. So these are some generic PPEs, but it could be more than that. I mean, in case of the COVID, we need to have the breathing mask as well. You know, If people are exposed to chemical, yes, they have to be equipped to the fireproof clothing, and then this is depends on what type of project you are doing. So in this simple matrix which I just presented, you want to list the activities. In front of the activities, you mention what hazards are likely with them, and you categorize the risk and you put the risk control measures. So generally speaking, these kind of things should be included in a project management, in a Gantt chart. In a Gantt chart, in a detailed Gantt chart, you could include that level of information here. Okay. So examples are provided here. So 2 activities, 2 tasks. These are operational tasks, something like people are trying to unload equipment. I mean, that doesn't apply to your project, but that tells you how you fill in that kind of information in your project management documents. So this is people are trying to install hold-down bolts on the equipment which they have installed, and these are the hazards, the category, and how do you control that risk. So I have something to give you as a cheat. So that cheat is something you are welcome to use in writing your report. So you might ask yourself, okay, my project did not involve any kind of practical things or physical activities as such. That is not correct. So let's see if anyone can suggest what kind of risk might be applicable to your project. John, do you have any idea? Any example for us? Or Shahriar, do you have any example for us? What kind of risks are likely for your projects? Flynn, do you have any recommendation? So I expect to see if it functions properly. Okay, function properly is a complex thing to control. I mean, yes, that is a risk. But what about the personal risk? Is there any risk involved with the people who are doing the project? What you said, that is that the company goes bankrupt. If that doesn't function, the company goes bankrupt, and that's a risk. You're right. It's a financial risk. But are you aware of any risk which involves the personnel, yourself or Queen or your other teammates? Okay, if anyone can make a suggestion, I'm happy to give them 2 bonus marks for the final exam. Shahriar, do you have any suggestion? John, are you there? Can you hear me? Okay, so Shahriar, do you have anything in mind? Some risk in your project which might impact yourself or your teammates? Can you tell us what you think is there for your project as a risk? All right, so, and I assume John doesn't have any idea. Do you, John? All right, let me give you a cheat. You're welcome to include what I say in your report. And the good news is, what am I going to tell you, that applies to every project. So everyone can include this risk, which I'm gonna explain to your project report. So listen carefully. So one risk which we don't take serious, that is the exposure to the work environment. So the work environment for you, maybe you haven't noticed yet, but being exposed to computers, that is a big risk. So it could strain your eye. So if you do and work computer for a long time staring at a screen, if the lightings are not enough when you are doing the reading, so that is a risk for your eye. So sitting next to a computer, if your desk is not ergonomically designed, the posture of your desk, if the seat is not appropriate, if mouse is not placed in the right altitude, in the right distance from your arm, these can cause strains to your muscles, to your body, and you can get a back pain, even if everything is perfect and you don't take breaks between working. I don't think that applies to many teams. I mean, I don't want to be critical, but given the last week presentation session in which only John appeared, it doesn't seem the risk I'm mentioning, these are very much applicable to the teams here. But anyway, you can include them as a risk to your projects. So working with computers, working staring at the screen, just reading without proper lighting, these are the risks which apply to any project, no matter what is the title of your project. So please use these examples and more in your group report. And then once you are writing your report, I expect to see a section regarding the risk and everything we covered today. Okay, so all we say today, these are applicable for writing or helping you for writing your report. Okay, so let's consider a new category, right? So there are likely that union has making some risk to the completion of the project. So example of that is, I mean, you are very tight in time. You don't have any day to you're very close to your deadline. Perhaps you are behind your deadline, and suddenly unions decides to go on a strike. Okay, so that means you can't complete the job properly. You can, or the task or the milestone. This is a risk. So that would make the entire project delayed, and delay is one of the worst things for a project. So suddenly you are working there. Another company develops a new design, better than yours, cheaper, more effective, and something. Okay, this is also the risk. Okay, you need some item which are not commonly used in the market. So this has to be designed, manufactured, so you never know how much time is needed for that. And even if they are, only if they are rare, you have to source them from odd places. And that means you will have long waiting time. So when you are buying components to modify them or to use them as they are, there is a category, they are called long lead items. So the long lead items, these are the items which take significant time to arrive. Even if you pay them today, they can only provide this to you in a month, in a years. So these will be some very critical risk to your project. Okay, so any question? Any question? Good afternoon, Tisa. Make sure you watch the recorded lecture. I just covered some topics which are very useful for writing your report. So I gave the class some hints, things which you can include in writing your report, things that generically are useful for every project. So make sure you watch them. Thank you, Tisa. Now, all right, so how do we compare these risks? So I mentioned union strike, or this can be a risk to the entire project, or a new design, or long lead item. So how do you know which item is more important, which risk is more critical, which one is more dangerous for the entire project? How do we know that? A simple way of screening or prioritizing these types of errors. Okay, like I said, the risk matrix comes to the rescue, but here, let's, instead of 2 variables, let's consider 3 variables. The first variable is how impactful the risk is. If the impact is not important, we give this a score of 0, 1. If that is extremely impactful, we give it a score of 5. And then the second parameter is the frequency. How likely that is for the risk to occur. If it is not very likely, you give it a score of 1. If that is very likely, you give it a score of 5. And also the third dimension in this is matrix, that becomes a 3-dimensional matrix. That is the severity of the score. So that's, in another word, this is a weighting factor. So the weighting factor, for some other combined reasons, you want to give them a weighting factor between 1 to 5, 1 being low impact factor, 5 being a high impact factor. So for every risk, you simply multiply these assessment values. So your assessment from the risk score multiplied by your assessment from the frequency score multiplied by the weighting factor. So that is a combined number. That combined number for the first item is 18, for the second one is 36, for the third one is 24. And now tell me which item or which risk has the highest score, highest total score. I didn't hear you. Perhaps someone said it not loud enough. Okay, so the winner is, yes, thank you, Flynn. The new design type, that is the winner, or that's the most fatal risk for the project. I mean, according to that assessment. Maybe we have extra risks once you add them, once you evaluate and give them scores for the risk, for frequency, for weighting factor, maybe something else comes up, but according to that comparison between 3, number 2, like Flynn said correctly, that has the highest risk. Okay, now I think we do that one toward the end. I get everyone to think of what risk are they going to include in their report relevant to your project. So that would be toward the end. So for now, let's finish this presentation, and then we might have some people who wants to do the late presentation today. In that case, I'm not sure, Shahriar, are you one of those? Or Shahriar, who is your group mate? Can you remind me who is your teammate, Shahriar? All right, so group 11, and then would you be doing your late presentation today, Shahriar? Yes or no? All right, Shahriar. this is the last chance you have. I'm going to have some late presentation this Wednesday. So these people, I mean, Tisa and her group would be doing their late presentation Wednesday. So you're welcome to bring yours and do it Wednesday. If your teammates Shahriar are not helping, that's okay. Just pretend that you are on your own. Imagine no one else is in your team and write a presentation yourself, write a report yourself. I make sure to consider this problem. I make sure to have easier rubrics when I'm marking your work. But if you don't give me anything, that would be a 0 for everyone. All right, Shahriar, I really encourage you to take that chance. So you know that a late presentation Wednesday, that would be in the building TC, room number 223. So please come there with the other team, Tisa, Rashatun, and I think Ali Ahmed. These are the other team. I don't know who are your teammates. Maybe you want to encourage them, Shahriar, to come to the Wednesday presentation. And if not, if they are not coming, just do it by yourself. Save yourself. This is like the ship is sinking, so you can't save anyone. Just save yourself. Or I can't push you more. That is just, I encourage you to take that chance. This is the last chance. I hope you can take it. Okay, Tisa, you want to ask something, are you? If you can use your microphone, that's okay. I'm listening. Otherwise, just send a text. Tisa, I'm listening. Hello, Tisa. Are you there? Tisa, did you want to ask something? Yeah. That's okay. You didn't want to ask anything. You just press the raise hand by mistake. Is that what happened? Okay. Yeah, ask your question. Either use your microphone or just text it. That's okay. All right, now I've got a question from Tisa. So the eco audit report. So let me explain to you what eco audit is. So Tisa, I've seen that your project is a kitchen burner that is using the waste oil, right? So I assume that for this project you have a bill of material. So bill of material means that you are using some frame, a structural frame. So what material this is made of? What is the manufacturing method? Also, you have some pipes. The pipes are made of aluminum, they're made of stainless steel. And are they used material or are these fresh material? So very similar to reflective piece 3. In the reflective piece 3, you did a eco audit for the toaster. You did that for the patio heater. Have you done it, Tisa? Have you done third reflective piece? Okay, if you want, I'm happy to take that late, but all right, even the first one, that's okay. So you know what the eco audit is. The eco audit is you're trying to change the material, you are trying to change the process, you are trying to change the usage, the transport, and find out by changing these things how the carbon footprint or CO2 footprint or the energy footprint during the extraction, manufacturing, transport, usage, end of life, and disposal, how by changing, for example, instead of using a virgin material, if you use a recycled material, 100% recycled material. So how does it going to change the CO2 footprint? How does it change the energy footprint in that diagram? So I want you to make a simple bill of material for whatever your project is. So I just mentioned some components in your project. So I believe your project, your 3D assembly has some bill of material, some component. For every component, you can change the material. You can decide whether this is coming from the recycled material or virgin material, or the manufacturing method, or the transportation, or the usage, or end of life. Okay, so by changing these things, you get a graph. That graph you can discuss that, look, I could have used the fresh material, but because I'm using a recycled material, I'm saving environment. That is what I mean by eco audit for your project. Is that clear, or you want me to explain more? All right, looking forward to see that your presentation Wednesday, you have a simple eco audit. I don't want you to do a very sophisticated, elaborated one. Just demonstrate to me that you understand what the eco audit is, how this can be applied to a project such as yours. So even if that's simple, it is acceptable. Thank you, Tisa. All right, sure. Let's. I'm sure. I hope that you would do a great job, like other some other teams which did last week. So yeah, let's just wait and see. Thank you, Tisa. So it seems Shahriar is connecting again. So let's just wait for him to come back. All right, so let's go to the next slide. That is, like I said, the cost. You want to include the cost analysis in your report, because financial issues could be a potential risk. So if you don't do the cost analysis, perhaps your decision about going for the project won't be a right decision. So you have to justify your project based on the cost analysis. So cost, revenue compare together will tell you whether you should do the project or you should abandon the project. That is very important. So in order to find out the cost is not a simple thing to analyze. At least you have to study the budget, bills of material. You have to study the return on investment. Also, you come up with a justification for your project. How justified that is to do this project. Are you going to definitely make a profit, or are you going to go in loss, or are you going to go bankrupt? And also you need to explore the life cycle cost. So what is the life cycle cost? Let's find out. Okay, so when it comes to the budget and bill of material, you can do a very simple cost analysis. So in that cost analysis, I mean, in a real project, the cost analysis is very detailed. It has many chapters. It's articulated. But here, just when you are doing the cost analysis, consider how many people are working in your team. So in the case of TISA, there are 3 of them. So you can claim for some man hours cost. So for example, you have to work on this project maybe 10 hours per week. And as an engineer, TISA, you would be taking something like $80 per hour or $100 per hour. So that 12 weeks times 10 times the rate, that would tell how much TISA would cost to this project. You can do the same thing for Rashatun, you can do that for Ali Ahmed, and that would tell you about the labor cost. That is the labor cost. And then you can include the use of the computer use of the software. So just some estimate how much the license for the software would cost, how much the training would cost. And yeah, that would be from the bill of material. If you are using, for example, 2 kilograms of cast iron, if that comes from the recycled material, how much it costs your client. If they're buying that as a virgin material, how much they pay for it. So you here can make a very simple cost analysis only by including the labor, which includes the work of your teammates, how many hours, what are the rates. Also, you include the material cost. Material cost comes from the bill of material. Also, you can include the cost of the software, training, and things like that. So this is an example. This is an example of calculating the labor cost. So when you say I'm working 10 hours per week, it's best if you just classify what type of work is taking place. Is that you're working on a software, you're working on a 3D modeling, or you're working on the integration? Because the rate for each of these operations are generally different, but you may come to an agreement with your employer to have a flat rate per hour, and then you do a combination of those. That's a very simple way, but let's do it. I don't want to make these complex for you. So these are some typical examples. You can just modify these things or get an idea from here. So that is a sample bill of material. I'm sure for your case, the bill of material will be different. And you're welcome to use any spreadsheet from Excel. And well, the most important thing is just remember the title of these columns. So use the title of these columns, and that will tell you what you should include in your Excel file for material list when you are finding the cost of the material. The other one, this table will tell you what you typically include when you're evaluating the labor cost. And this table tells you what item or what columns should be included when you are doing the bill of material cost or material cost. And that is a formula for return on investment. So what it means is the value of the money is not constant. There are something like depreciation. Things might become more expensive, and well, you just add some intellectual value or some added value to this one. So return on investment is a complex thing to calculate. I don't want you to use that formula. It's just to give you a background information. Generally speaking, what do we mean by the return on investment? So return on investment, that is, you have to calculate that to make a decision whether this project is justified or not. And you want to include the present value, the future value. So these are functions of inflation. These are the function of present values, future values, and then all that. So typical sample, typical calculation are provided here. That will tell you 5% per year is an annual increase. And then at the end, that $1,000 in 3 years is $1,158. That's the present and future. The present is $1,000. The future value is that. And okay, most importantly, why do you do that? All these things because you want to justify your project. That's a thing you do at the beginning of the project, not at the end of the project. So we had limitation to tell you everything at the start. So this is just a educational project. But in a real project, you don't do the justification at the end. Justification comes at the very early stage. Okay, so things we should keep in mind, that is the project expenses and income. Some projects have not only expenses, but also income. And improvement of the current process and design, internal rate of return, capital equipment purchase. These are the things that, for example, license, software license is a capital investment. You buy this for this project, but you may use that for other projects as well. And do you do any saving? Saving means you might, these are the variations, you estimate that this might cost you that much. It is likely that you have some saving on it. And what about the project life cycle? Okay, it's not very frequent, but infrequently, these costs should be also considered when you are listing the costs. The first one is you need repairs. So if your computer is broken and you need a repair, yeah, that doesn't happen all the time, but it could happen. And so when you are using the measurement tool, you have to do the recalibration or recertification. Sometimes the software blows up, you have to reinstall it. This is very similar to the recalibration. Retraining. So you have some training, but this is not adequate. You have to send people for training themselves. All these are going to cost you money. You have to upgrade, you have to update things, and some regular costs are including consumable, like printer, ink, paper, these cleaning supplies. And sometimes you have to go for fees, licenses for labors, utilities like internet, electricity, heating, renting. You have to pay for insurance. You have to pay tax depreciations, and so some costs are fixed. So you purchase something at the beginning, that's a fixed price, and you reselling something at the end of the life of the second item, that's the end of life salvage price. Delivery costs, these are fixed. Installation costs, plumbing, construction, services, sewing, and also the peripheral and support equipment, like these are fixed costs. It's common to include them, it's mandatory to include them in a real project. And when you want to commission your project to the customer, these checklists you have to consider. First, you want to make sure that, okay, so this checklist, this is kind of a rubric. When I'm marking your oral presentation or report, these checklists, you keep them in mind. So it's worthy of including a heading or something to your report, your presentation, talking about how do you show me that you have done a negotiation with the imaginary client? How can you show me that you had meetings together? How you show me the correlation between the need and specification? In a table, it is up to you. Gantt chart, house of quality, I gave you a template for that. Conceptual design, design embodiment. So you have to show me that at least a number of patents you have looked at them. Brochures, similar products, YouTube videos. These are a good example of explaining the different concepts before you go to the embodiment, before you choose only one of them. And when it comes to the detailed design, these are the type of things which I include, which I expect to see in your report. Well, bill of material is the most important one, because based on the bill of material, you can tell me for each item how many quantities are there, what is the manufacturing type, what material this is being finalized, what is the weight of the item, which tell you about the cost. And is this something to make or to buy? Are you going to use that from the recycled content or from the virgin material? And what happens to the usage data, to the transportation? All these things would impact your eco audit. Work breakdown structure, make sure you watch the sample videos on work breakdown structure I put on your canvas. That gives you a clear idea. and show me how your Gantt chart changed between when you planned it and when you executed. Eco audit, yes, you did a third reflective piece on eco audit, but you also, the main thing is, are you able to apply that to your project? And this was a question asked by the TISA. I explained, hopefully that is clear for everyone. And yes, I want to see the assembly of your 3D model, the exploded view. So in your report, it's best if you include a schematic of the exploded view with the balloons, numbered balloons, and that would help you the writing of how your design concept works. Animations, well, that applies to your presentation in your report. I think the exploded view and the sample drawing, that is enough. You can do a 3D print if you wish. Not Bernard Kozil this time. We have Mr. Jonathan Wood. I have to update that slide. And cost and risk analysis. This is what we discussed today. And make sure that all weekly submissions are on your Canvas group file folder, including the PowerPoint presentation, including the final group report. Having them submitted to the assignment, that is not enough. I also want this to be stored in your Canvas group. Make sure that this would happen. And when this is on my side, I check your group to see how people have collaborated together in writing the final report, in making the presentation. Have they used the collaborative authoring tools in Canvas? And I want to see the evidence of engagement with your team using Canvas tools on time, not late. The punctuality is important. The feeling responsible for a project, that is very important. These are interpersonal skills. And if you are not happy with how your team work, so the official way of expressing that is by filling a form. I give you a form that in private you can score yourself, and you can score or evaluate the performance of your teammates, and then I would have everything together. I can make a more precise decision if the group score is not divided equally between the team member. So I made the rubrics available on Canvas for presentation, for report. Make sure you read them and abide by them. And this is a self and peer assessment form, so you can just print that out or get this one right on top of it, what score you give yourself or your teammates. And that is a concluding slide. I just was going to show you what happened in a previous presentation. Maybe just let me play that video for you. Just watch this. That's very exciting. Okay. So you can watch that design ceremony from the YouTube channel, which I recommended to you earlier when you did your assessment task 1, 2, 3. The same YouTube channel has the sample recordings of design competition ceremony. I have 2 recordings for that. The first design ceremony, the second design ceremony. This year or this semester, we didn't have any competition. So yes, sometime when we have a large number of students enrolled, this ceremony is conducted, but this didn't happen this year. All right, so that is I want to thank everyone for coming to the classes, coming to the computer labs. Notably, Flynn, you've been a wonderful, wonderful student. Well done. You won't regret that. Tisa, the same. Shahriar, I'm looking to see your presentation Wednesday, and don't disappoint me, please, Shahriar. All right. you're welcome. You're more than welcome, Flynn. And yeah, that's don't forget to participate in the forget to participate in the unit evaluation. That is very important. I want to see as many people as possible to participating. That makes the evaluation more realistic and more fruitful. Okay, thanks everyone. Any question? Any questions? Okay, if there is no question, I will see you in computer labs in future. Take care and bye for now. Thank you, Shariar. Thank you, Flynn. See ya. Thank you, Tisa. Thank you. See you on Wednesday. Bye.